Alright guys, 3x to the Lex, right back at you with one more video. Let's get into it. Alright, today I'm here to talk to you about the Neo Geo games that are included in this system. Neo Geo has its own section. So what you got here essentially is over 140 Neo Geo games, pretty much all of the Neo Geo games ever made. They all seem to work from what I can tell. I haven't run into one that does not work. For those that aren't in the know, I mean, Neo Geo is just an iconic, and I mean iconic arcade platform that had countless fighting games, sport games, and 2D shooters just up the wazoo. Very, very popular in the early to mid 90s, even the late 90s in arcades. Had pretty much his own dedicated arcade cab, the big red cab, and you just would see these games everywhere. Video stores, Pizza Huts, like you see Neo Geo cabs everywhere. And like games like Samurai Showdown, Fatal Fury, those just became to be like iconic games from this platform. A lot of these games ended up being ported to a lot of other platforms out at the time as inferior versions, like Super Nintendo, Genesis, 3DO even seen some ports, PlayStation, Saturn, later Dreamcast, which actually has some great ports of these games. But long story short, without going too deep in the history of Neo Geo, pretty much all of the games that you could have liked or loved from Neo Geo is available on this platform, and it's available in just great fashion. It's represented well. Pretty much have all the cover art for each game is visible with a short video. There's no missing information or anything about the games, the release dates, descriptions, everything. It's presented very, very, very well in a high quality way in this cabinet, and I'm really, really impressed with the way the presentation for Neo Geo is done. The sheer amount of games and everything. So without further ado, we can get into some of my favorite games. First of all, I'll run through the list so you guys can see pretty much what you're getting. And like, as you can see, it's a really, 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 really big list. Like I say, nearly 150 games. Everything's represented well. Cover art, descriptions, dates, everything that you want to know. Countless classics. So, I mean, if you're looking for like a favorite Neo Geo game, I have no doubt that is here. So, you know, no question. So, anyway, let's get into it, and I'm going to show you some of my favorite Neo Geo games. Alright, go back up to the beginning. Alright, some of my favorite Neo Geo games. First and foremost, my favorite Neo Geo game, Samurai Showdown 2. I mean, this is just, for me, this is like the tip of the iceberg for Neo Geo. Like, when this game came out, it was just a game changer. I mean, the first Samurai Showdown, you could say that too, but the second one just took it to a level of refinement and sophistication that pretty much no other fighting game at that time had. I mean, respect to Mortal Kombat, respect to Street Fighter. A lot of games was coming up in '94. Tekken was coming up, Virtua Fighter was coming up, and those were ended up being iconic franchises too. But this game just had an allure and a sophistication to me that it was no doubt the best fighting game out of that era for me. So just an absolute iconic game. In my opinion, the best Neo Geo game ever. This was their finest hour, in my opinion. Everybody would have a different opinion, but in my opinion, this was their SNK's best work for its time. Just absolute iconic fighting game here, man. Further refinement of the first game. Very sophisticated gameplay. ton of fun to play. Iconic characters. I mean, this is a phenomenal fighting game, man. This sequel introduced Jinjiro and Saiger, which became to be iconic characters for this series. Look at that. Slash! The blood, like the background characters, just everything, man. This was also one of the first games that really showed what this hardware could do, potentially graphics-wise, because at the time, you know, Capcom, you know, and Midway, in my opinion, kind of had better looking games than a lot of early Neo Geo games. But when this game came out, like graphically, it just was on a whole nother level for that time, as far as 2D games are concerned. Slash! Look at that. Look at the style of it, man. All right, we're gonna back out of there. I'm gonna show you some more of my favorite Neo Geo games. So, all right, The Last Blade 2 would definitely be one of my favorite Neo Geo games for sure. The Last Blade 2, phenomenal fighting game. Came up more in the later 90s. I think this game came out around 98 or so. Phenomenal fighting game. Kind of carried on the tradition of Samurai Showdown, but kind of changed up the formula a little bit. These characters had their own unique style. You know, it still had like that feudal Japan theme going, but like gameplay wise, it was very different and it had a different style to it. Phenomenal fighting game though, definitely iconic. Don't really get the respect or praise that it really deserves in this era. So looking back though, it was just an iconic game. Yeah, this game was a lot more combo heavy. then Samurai Showdown, which was more about big strikes and taking big health. This was a lot more a combination and chain friendly, but still being a weapons-based fighter. Very, 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 very good game though. All right, that's the last blade too. All right, so from there, I want to show you, let me see what else I want to show you. Blazing Star. Great shooters. Blazing Star, in my opinion, is probably one of the great 2D shooters possibly ever. Big fan of this game. It's definitely an iconic shooter. A lot of versatility to the gameplay with rapid shots, charge shots, great graphics, especially for that era. Even now, it's held up really well for how old this game is. Tons of power-ups to grab. And it's hard as hell, like pretty much every 2D shooter ever made. It definitely increases in difficulty as you go on, so. That killed there. All right. Beat the first stage. Now, the slowdown you see is normal. I mean, that occurred on the original arcade hardware. I remember playing a lot of these games in the arcade when they were new. So, like, any slowdown you view or witness was just an accurate representation of the arcade game. So anyway, let me back out of there. That's Blazing Star. Great game there. I would say, let me my favorite Metal Slug ever, Metal Slug X. So, you know, definitely iconic side-scrolling shooter. Great game. You know, probably my favorite Metal Slug. One of my favorite side-scrolling 2D shooters ever. Great game. This fixed a lot of the issues that Metal Slug 2 had, which was a lot of slowdown. Gameplay is much smoother. Phenomenal side-scrolling shooter.
Mission 1, start.
Gotta love those heat-seeking rockets. They do damage pretty much from anywhere. Alright, wanted to show you guys that, you know, definitely Metal Slug X, my favorite Metal Slug game ever, phenomenal game. You know, I would say something else I wanted to show you guys is, this is kind of a slept-on Neo game because it was made by Sunsoft and not SNK or ADK, and it wasn't really in-house. This was a Sunsoft developed